the greatest showtime!
Paprika is dense, a film once called If Philip K. Dick Collided with Hello Kitty, Satoshi Kon's dream world will leave you dry. Maybe that's the point. Viewers are used to being treated kindly, so I've broken that pattern deliberately. Satoshi's statement could stand by all his works. Kon's preference is in those movies you need to watch multiple times to understand. An 80-20 split. Left to your own interpretation is where it sticks with you, in your heart. Kon wants you to ride the roller coaster and not worry about the shape of the track. It's not fun because you understand the loop, but because you experience it.
ましてや原作者の鈴井先生からそういう映画化っていう単語が出るだけでね、これは運命に違いないみたいなことを勝手に。
The author, famous Japanese sci-fi writer Yatsutaka Suetsui, greenlit Kon's most ambitious project. Suetsui was a great influence on Satoshi's output. Dreams diffuse into reality in Paprika. If there exists a surrealist anime, then you're looking at it. The movie believes in the omnipotence of dreams, of childlike logic. As the surrealist manifesto states, the absence of any known restrictions allows the perspective of several lives lived at once, unshackling the reins of logic from the rationalists of the time. If there's any character in the film that fits that description, it's Dr. Chiba, the protagonist and guide through this mystery. The key to our inner dreams has been stolen. The subconscious world is spreading. How different are we inside? The Doctor's alter ego Paprika rides the lines between reality, a bubbly, energetic pixie girl who's designed as an exaggerated cartoon in comparison to her grounded self. If Chiba is pragmatic, then Paprika is optimistic. That duality is the film's core. In contrast, Dr. Tokita is an open book. He is the same little kid inside and out. Well, not literally. The man with the childlike output also created the device to surf through dreams. Coincidence? I think not.
1, 2, 3.
It all begins with a detective's nightmare. His repressed memories turn into layers of film stacked together, tied by a lucid chase. Memories of a bygone era. At first, these silver screen corridors confuse and disorientate, but the deeper we go, the subconscious reasoning unfolds. Kon is a child of post-war Japan, where Hollywood represented a far-off fantasy, an aspiration to drive towards. In this case, it's a failed one. The detective Konakawa cosplays as a director to explain cinematic technique, not just any director though. Akira Kurosawa, whose work has a major Western influence. Is this all to break down the illusion, to show the lunacy of filmmaking? We are watching in a home theatre a character in a movie theatre explain filmmaking 101 while dressed as the nation's most famous international movie director. Yeah. You know, Kurosawa once made a film about his dreams where he'd use another artist to reflect.
Vous êtes Vincent van Gogh, n'est-ce pas?
Why aren't you painting? To me, this scene is beyond belief.
Neither Kon nor Kurosawa set out to be directors. If it be drawing or painting, they both saw another life, a fork in the road of what could have been. But those decisions, or failures, made them into the people they are. After all, the artist Jean Cocteau once said art is a portrait of the author. And if that's the case, look no further. Kon is right there. The guide in his own online red room, standing next to the author. Is there anything as surreal as the internet? So will we open up ourselves bare to millions of strangers? One idea mutates with another and turns into a shared consciousness. A parade marches through a barren desert. a pile of thrown away trinkets, never-ending insanity, multicultural artifacts old and new, swaying with a strut of a different age in a golden field. This never-ending progress, the absurdity of modern reality, or is it a metaphor for internet culture? What does it all mean? Well, that's the wrong question. It's not what, but how. How much stake does a director have in each image? The storyboard was reinterpreted by a certain staff animator who enhanced the parade with all sorts of items and a rhythm to march to. Then the CGI team leaned in, a collective effort merging their dreams together. Well, that sounds familiar if I've ever heard it, eh? This scene is what brought Satoshi confidence in the movie, marching at the front of his parade. Kon's storyboards are as dense as concrete, with every nuance on the page. They call back to his draftsman days. The opening montage has 9 match cuts in under 2 minutes. This is Hoodlum Kon, his inner ego as a filmmaker let loose.
チンピラコン君っていうのとそのコンサトシっていうもうちょっとおっさんの方の関係、おっさんっていうシステムの上にチンピラコン君っていうのが動いてるというイメージと、そのアツコとパプリカの関係っていうのがね、あ、よく似てるじゃないかと。そうするとその関係に
Every edit and cut is so precise, but never obtuse. There are clues given about what is happening, what world we are in. Reality is subdued, the colours are dull, the light bursts with bloom, or if it's dimly lit, only screens illuminate them. Opposed to the fantasy, which is vibrant, it seeps in the frame, golds and reds, high contrast, scenes with an ominous green. Sometimes Kon baits the viewer, setting up a scene to seem ordinary, but only on further inspection is something not right, since the collapse of the setting is only a frame away. Look at the soundtrack. The dreamscape is full of Kurosawa's compositions, best known for his work on prior Kon films, as well as Berserk. Jittering vocaloids thrown into a bucket of samples, from sugary melodies that become irresistible earworms to buzzing night terrors. There is something strangely synthetic about its approach. The sleeping world is an elevated plane. Tracks barely exist in its reality, with the exception being Bayako no, used to mislead the audience subconsciously. The deeper we fall into the subconscious, the Freudian starts to push back. Freud is directly referenced in the Surrealist Manifesto as someone who opened up the world of dreams. All the mind's vulnerabilities and desires merge. Those sexual undertones fill the movie in subtle ways, but not always. Insecurities reign, overtaking this world with their Paprika knows how to get under your skin. The phallus overcompensates, rushing to control something they can't. Only when duality combines can we see such results. There are relationships here that feed off each other, off their inadequacies, creating something monstrous. There are those with the inner conflicts that get the best of them.
どうして私の言うことが聞けないの？パプリカは私の分身でしょ？アツコが私の分身だって発想はないわけ？言うことを聞きなさい。
What holds more control over you? The constructed reality we live in, or the unconscious mind? What wins in the end is opposites that can come together to fill each other's blanks. In this case, by eating you up and making you whole, being honest with yourself and how you feel. Both doctors seem to have something the other doesn't. By becoming a giant naked lady sucking up a dark spectre. Spoilers, if that can even be considered. I mean, it's so absurd. What I see in Satoshi Kon's dreams are myths and movies. Going back to Clocktoe, it kind of reminds me of his earlier work, subconsciously or not, jumping through reflections that become portraits, paintings, silver screens, the fourth wall, embracing that childlike logic, going against traditional Hollywood structures, against the grain, you could say. However, if anything is clear in the film, it certainly is the characters' arcs, the emotional development, because that is really at the front of how we perceive the film.
当時に読んでるんで、そういうなんか夢と現実が曖昧になっていく感じっていうのが先にやっぱやりたいっていうのがあって、もうパーフェクトブルーとか千年獣医にそれが投影されてて、でその一番の元であるパプリカをやった以上、まあ、これで別にやめるわけではないけれど一区切りにしようかなとは思ってるんですよ。
You know, this is like an end of an era. We all see what came before it in bright, shining lights. And towards the end, we are buying a ticket for something new, a movie not yet made, and may never be. But dreams stay alive when we pass them on. Paprika premiered at Cannes Film Festival and became his most popular work to this day. An anime of a different generation, unique like each of Kon's projects. But that is a story for a different day. This was a Patreon request for Daniel Strait. I found the process quite difficult since Paprika is so abstract. But during the research, I did see a path to making a Satoshi Kon documentary. It has been about 10 years since his passing, perhaps one for the Patreon goals. Speaking of which, I got to thank all my patrons, as well as Daniel Strait. We've got Joven and Alex Moretti. I hope I'm saying that right. If you want to join, you can go here. And my next video is going to be on Porco Rosso, which is my favourite Ghibli film. At least my favourite Miyazaki one. Anyway, I'll see you then.